my name is Sherlyn and we're back here again with another Peppy tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how to do a Peppy gel application, and we have a special guest today. Her name is Shannon. It's her first time doing Peppy gel and she just got her first starter kit in the mail. So I'm going to show her how to do it. So what did you get?
I got the starter kit with the hot stuff color.
Alright, why don't we take a look at what's included in the starter kit?
Got these.
So you got your 3 liquids, step 1, 2, and 3. Got your color, your nail buffer, and the little instruction card. Perfect. Alright, let's get started. So we're going to start with prep first. So if you have a cuticle pusher, I have one that I got from Peppy Gel. So we're just going to push our nails. We're going to push our nails back on right by the cuticle line. Just push it back. Don't do it too much. You don't want to bleed out. After that, you want to kind of file around your cuticle line. So you can use the buffer tool that's provided in the Peppy Gel box, or if you have one of your own, you can use that. When you're filing by your cuticle, you'll want to keep the purple one pointed to your cuticle. So that way you don't damage your actual skin, and that's how a lot of the times people get cuts right there. So you just want to lightly buff around the cuticle, not too much, just enough to kind of rough up your nail, so that way it's not too smooth and oily. So yeah, you just do that. You kind of go all around. And then I also kind of go around the whole nail, but just very light again, just to kind of rough up the whole nail to get it ready. Once you think you're at a good spot, your nail's pretty rough, then we can get started with the rest of the prep. To keep your nails from being too oily, you want to wash it with dish soap. So you want to, you don't want to use any regular hand soap, because most hand soap kind of has that moisturizing agent in it. So dish soap is very drying for your hands.
Gotcha.
So alright, we'll go wash our hands. Your nails are prepped. Perfect. And this is also the time you want to, if you want to shape your nails, if you want rounder, square, whatever, however we want your nails, this is the time you can do it. If you have another nail file, kind of looks like this, that's kind of what I use to shape my nails. I already went ahead and did that before we started, so I'm ready to go. Are you good?
I'm good.
Alright, we are back now. We went and washed our hands with some dish soap to make sure all the oils are gone from our cuticles. So now we're ready to get started. Before I start, I like to grab the paper towels that we're going to use for later, and also I like to swipe our hands with acetone just one more time, just to make sure it's completely dry. So we'll do that. And this is the one that I like and a lot of the Peppy girls recommended.
Oh, okay.
And you want to make sure whenever you use acetone, which I also mentioned in the tutorial video for how to remove your nails, that you want to use pure acetone.
Right. Yeah. Not like a nail polish remover.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So yeah, and I usually focus the acetone right at the cuticle, so that's where the most of the oil will be at.
Okay.
So just do that, and it's pretty much done. You just put that to the side. And if everything looks good with your nails, you don't have to do any final touch-ups to it. We can get started. So the colors I have today that I'm going to be using, this one's Dusk, Angel Wings, oh, it's upside down, and Clear. I do clear over my glitter so that it doesn't buff out the glitter, because if you use glitter without the clear on top, sometimes the glitter turns silver.
Okay.
So that's a little tip there. And then you're going to use your color Hot Stuff?
Yes.
Alright, so when we get started, I usually open all of the colors that I'm going to be using already. So just get those ready. Oopsies. If they're too full, with yours, since they're brand new, I like to put them in the cap so that when you're dipping, it's not too full and it doesn't spill everywhere. So you can do that
Good
if you
trick.
want, but you don't have to. But that's that. And we're clear. Okay. And then you always want to stir your powders before you start. So to loosen up the powders inside, especially when it's been sitting in there for a long time, it gets pretty thick. So let's start with our number one. You want to pick up, when you pick up a brush, there's like a little inside, there's I don't know what it's called, but it should be grabbing like any excess liquid. But I kind of drag it to the side as well to grab any excess liquid. Try not to get it on the rim or anything, because this acts like glue as well, so it could glue your bottle shut. If you do by any chance get some on the end or on the sides or whatever, when you're completely done with the Peppy, I usually take like a little napkin with acetone, and don't put too much acetone because you don't want to get the acetone in your bottle, but you want to just swipe it a little bit to clean the bottle. So now you can see there's not too much liquid on my brush. Then you want to get started. For the first coat of number one, we're only going to go 3/4 of the way of your nail, so kind of like just right here, not too much close to the cuticle, and this kind of gives you that angled effect of your nail too. So if you think that there's too much product on your brush, you can just go back in and kind of swipe it. You want to try to keep your coats pretty thin. All right, so just go in there, and you can kind of see what I'm fanning out the brush a little bit. Okay. And then swiping forward. So just do that, and then if you're missing like anything by the side, just kind of go. And you want to go over it a couple times to make sure it's even coats and kind of thin. Yep, there you go. Yep. And then just dip it in your color. Go in a little bit of an angle. And then just leave it in there for a quick second, and then tap. And then you move on to your next nail. But you see how I didn't really go all the way to my cuticle?
I went a lot further down. Is that going to be an issue?
No, you're good. All right, now we're going to keep going. Oops.
Now, do you want to dip it like fairly quick, or do you want to, is that going to make it clumpy if you dip it too long? Or
What do you mean? Like if it's
like
in the
if
powder
I
too
leave
long?
it in, that's what I mean, in the powder too long, is it going to make it more like bumpy?
No.
No? Okay.
But you don't want to like be moving your finger around in the
Okay.
powder either, because
You just want to kind of dip and pull out.
Mhm.
Okay.
And if you feel like when you're dipping, like if you could probably feel if the powder's getting like a little stiff or thick, then you could just stir it again before you dip again.
Okay.
So why'd you decide to get Peppy Gel?
Well, I have gone and gotten them done in the salon, and it's a lot of time, a lot of money, and I thought I have a lot more time recently, so I can try and do them myself.
Nice. Does any of your friends do it?
No. But maybe if it goes well, I can talk them into it.
That's usually how it works.
Yeah.
All right, so now we got all our nails done. So you want to pick up like your little dusting brush. I got this one again from Peppy Gel. So you just brush off, kind of lightly go over it. Don't push down and brush. So just kind of just be gentle with it, because you don't want to push in and like brush off, like actually make a dent in it, if that makes sense.
Yes.
But yeah. So just make sure you go over that. Okay. Ooh, I forgot I needed something. We're gonna use these to clean up the edges around your cuticles. You don't really need that many, but if you mess it up, like you could use. I normally have this, I guess they call it an orange stick. I don't know why it's not orange, but it's pretty much just like a bigger toothpick, and that's what a lot of the girls use as well. And they recommend so that when you, because you don't want to get the powder or not the product over your cuticle line, because that's how they tend to lift and come off easily. So whenever I dip, I usually go around it once. So if you have any like kind of around this side, you can kind of do it. I usually do it right after each dip. So I think with the first dip, since you're not really going on your cuticles, you should be fine. I usually don't go over anything on the first time. But when we do our second coat of number 1, that's when I start using the toothpick. So for the second coat, this is where you have to kind of be careful. This is where we're going to start going as close to the cuticle line as we can without going over it. So, is that like I did earlier? You kind of want to just go really close and fan it out close to the cuticle line, and then just swipe up. Okay. And then just make sure you get around the sides too. And then so that after you dip, this is around the time when I grab the toothpick. Out. But yeah, so that's how you kind of get like that clean edge around the cuticle as well. Just remember, like, and since it's your first time, try not to get frustrated with the outcome of it if it's not how you expect it to be or it doesn't look like how the pictures on Peppy Gel site looks like. It takes a lot of time to get good at it and a lot of patience. I've been doing this for about 2 years now, so you can't compare it with the other girls' results.
Yeah, because I'm noticing I'm a lot slower than you were.
Also, when you're working with glitter, sometimes it does get on your brush. So if you have like a paper towel around you, which like I said, you want to always have a paper towel next to you, just in case. I usually wipe the brush on it just to get that glitter off, so that when you're working on like your solid colors, you don't mix the glitter on there sometimes. I didn't know about the toothpick trick for a while, so I was really like upset why my cuticles didn't seem like that clean like the other girls, how they would always have it so neatly done, and then my nails would always lift so quickly. So ever since I started doing that, and like I heard about doing that, I never looked back.
So how long do you normally, now that you've been doing it for a while, how long do you normally get them to last? How do you get weeks?
As long as I do like my prep really good, I'm able to get at least 2.5 weeks in.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. But I also tend to be destructive with my hands and just do random things and hit things or something. Or I get picky with them and I start picking at my nails, so then they'll start lifting. Yeah.
So I have a tendency to pick at them if they lift, and so
Yeah.
that's why I was.
Well,
So
I pick
the
at it
cuticle
before.
trick is a nice idea.
Yeah. I tend to pick at it before it even lifts. I don't know why. I have picking problems. But yeah, you definitely don't want to get it on your skin either, because that's how they start lifting, is because of it's like all bumpy and like it's just not on your nail.
Now, how many times do we do this?
So this part we're gonna do 3 times.
Okay.
Or some girls,
And do you wipe the dust off after each application?
yes. So after each step, you want to brush it off because you don't want to do your number 1 over it and have powder over it, and then it's
Gotcha.
gonna you put it back in your bottle and it's just gonna ruin.
Run the brush.
Yeah.
Already starting to feel better about my hands.
There you go. It looks good.
So you say you do it 3 times?
Mm-hmm. And some girls do it only 2 times, some do it 4. 3 is the recommended amount to kind of get that sturdy and just pretty much the look and the
wear.
actual color of how they look. Because sometimes they'll look more, I guess, transparent or lighter than the color they actually look in the pictures, like from other girls, if you're only doing a couple coats or 2 coats compared to their 3.
Okay.
But some girls, their applications are really thin, or their nails, like mine, are very thin. So 4 coats doesn't make a big difference. So then, or doesn't make it look too chunky, if I should say.
Okay.
So then it makes it feel stronger as well. So then you're welcome to do 4, sorry. And some girls like to put a coat of clear after their 3rd coat, so technically that would be 4 coats.
Oh.
Even on like their solid colored nails, some girls say it makes the nail look shinier. I'm not sure on that, if that is the case. I do it just to get the extra thin layer, kind of like an added thickness sometimes.
Okay.
But I definitely always do a coat of clear over my glitters. So if it's like bumpy, or if you think it's too thick, don't worry too much, because then when you are filing it, you'll be able to fix all of that.
You'll be able to, because I noticed
Yeah.
on one of my thumb it got a little bump in it.
Didn't. It's also probably sometimes when you dip it, if it kind of gets that like little lump when you dip, you probably just have to mix it again, because it does settle down and get solid. You're doing really good though. Looks
Thank you.
good. Are you sure it's your first time?
I've been putting nail polish on for a long time. So. Years ago, I tried to do my nails tried to do my own acrylic nails back in the day.
How'd that turn out?
Not as easy of a process, let's put it that way. Definitely a lot more like steps and more chemicals, I think.
Oh yeah. So did you used to get dip powder at the salons?
I have gotten them done at the salons. Again, it's a lot of time, and we work all week, and then you got to go spend however many hours at hair salon, nail salon. It's like, if I could do it at home and save myself some of that time, it's really nice.
Yep. It's very convenient to be able to do it at home.
Well, and how many times too, a lot of times if you don't make your appointment with the salon and you walk in, then you spend a lot of time just waiting.
I bet the salons are going to be packed right now. Or once they start opening.
Oh my gosh.
The filing, I feel like, is the hardest part, honestly.
Is it?
I think so. That's when I would scruff up my nails a lot and overfile sometimes, or what might be,
Okay.
or underfile and it's still bumpy, and I just cut my hand altogether.
Yeah, a little bumpy.
But all right, so let me just. So I'm just gonna brush off my excess, and I also sometimes get under my nails
Okay.
just to make sure there's not any lingering powder there.
Oh, I have some underneath
Yeah.
attached to my skin.
Yeah, the bright colors tend to stick to your skin. So then you're gonna, let me see, looking good. Also, if they kind of get to the side of your fingernail, sometimes I'll kind of just pull around my nail, if that makes sense. Kind of
Okay,
tug it off.
glue.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then when we file, you'll be able to kind of fix around there too. But at least the glue's not stuck from your nail to your skin.
Yeah.
So now you're gonna grab your number 2, and we're gonna set it. I usually just kind of grab it, and I don't really brush off any excess, whatever's on the brush. You can be generous with this one.
Okay.
And then you just want to make sure, you don't want to overdo it, but you don't want to underdo it either. So you just want to make sure you go all over them, especially around the cuticle. this sets it. So you just go around that, around the cuticle. So if you see, it's kind of like you're wetting. You got the nail kind of wet.
Okay, so but it won't stick to your skin like the other
No,
one.
this one doesn't stick. This one's kind of just
Gotcha.
an activator for it. And usually you'll see kind of like when the powder gets wet, it kind of changes a little color so you can see how wet it is. If you feel like you need to add more, you can add a little bit more. Just make sure you focus on like around the cuticles and the edges. That's where usually you tend to miss, and that's how lifting kind of happens. Alright, and if it looks good, okay. Alright, that looks good. So now we let it set for 2 minutes. So we can put a timer on the clock and wait for 2 minutes, and then we'll begin buffing.
Okay.
Alright, so the 2 minutes is up, and we're ready to get started with our filing. I personally have a nail drill, but I don't recommend nail drills for beginners. You kind of want to just get the hang of buffing your own nails first. So you can go ahead and use the buffer that's included with the kit. And if you have one of these as well, these kind of buffers, this is what I recommend to. I still use these ones to kind of go around the side to shape your nail, especially if you have like longer nails like mine. Sometimes when you dip, the shape kind of gets off a little bit. I use this to buffer on the sides and kind of like the tips. And then if there's any kind of product that gets around by your skin when you buff it, to kind of separate it. So I usually start with this one first, and then I'll buff with the drip. So, alright, let's get started. My boyfriend hates the sound of this. Did you know Pepe Gel's a vegan company as well?
No, I did not.
Yeah, that's actually one of the reasons I like them. They're vegan, cruelty-free, and they're 9-free.
So it's a safer product as well.
Absolutely. So with the buffing, you kind of want to take your time with this. I honestly take the longest time with the buffing, just because this is where you get the shape right, however, like kind of make it look as professional as you want it to look, and as like smooth. So if you had any bumps during when you were dipping or whatever, this is the time you're going to be able to fix all those bumps. To save time on this video, we're going to fast forward through the buffing part, but on average it takes me about 5 to 10 minutes to buff, and just to get my nails smooth, and just however, once you feel like it's good, so we'll just do that right now. Alright, so now we're done filing, and we're going to go ahead and apply number 2 again to set everything in again. So same as earlier, just kind of get focus on your cuticle, but get the whole nail in. So, and again, you don't want to put too much, so just whatever you grab in the brush, that should be more than enough. Alright, and once you're all done applying it, then we wait the 2 minutes again. Alright, so now the 2 minutes is up, and we're going to go ahead and apply our number 3 to get that shine. So before I do that, I like to pick up the cuticle pusher and just push the cuticles back again just one more time to make sure there's nothing stuck to your cuticles. So just a quick little push.
Oh, like that?
Yep. Alrighty. Alright, now that's done. Then you want to grab your paper towel and just wipe your nails. Just make sure there's no excess number 2 in there, because you don't want to ruin your number 3. Alright, so once you've wiped off your nail, you're going to go ahead and start with your number 3. treat this at same as the number 1, like how I told you. Try not to get any product around the rim, because then again this acts like glue as well, and it'll just seal your bottle shut if you get it there. But if you do, then just wipe it with some acetone at the end. So again, try not to have too much on there. And for the first coat, you want to do it quick, because you don't want to keep the brush on there and it kind of soak in. If there's any number 2 on your nail, you don't want the brush to kind of soak that in. So just do a quick swipe, cover as much as you can, and then immediately wipe it on a paper towel. That way, if it did catch any number 2, you wiped it off. So then just do that same step again. Same thing. Kind of go quick. And then when you wipe it on your paper towel, you want to go wipe it in a different spot every time. Because if you wipe it in the same spot, then it's probably just going to pick up the number 2 that you did just wipe off. And again, you kind of want to avoid getting this on your skin, but if you do, you can kind of tug your skin a little bit to get it off there if you do get it on your skin by any chance. And just be careful, because you don't want to touch your nails immediately after you do number 3, because it could still be sticky, and then you'll get that kind of off looking, not shiny look. So we're gonna do 2 coats of that. So once we've done our whole hand, we'll just go ahead and start over again and do 10 layers again. This one you can kind of go slower just to make sure you get all over it. I still usually wipe it on the paper towel, but you don't have to for this second step. I do it just in case there's still number 2, just to keep my brush safe. So what do you think of Peppy Gel so far?
Well, so far, first of all, it hasn't bothered my fingers at all. So that's good. I know I've been in the salon sometimes where I've gotten a little burning with filing and different things.
Okay.
So I haven't gotten any of that. So that's good. It's been pretty simple. Now I know I'm going to have to work on it because I'm sure there's areas that aren't perfect. But
I mean, for your first time, it looks really good.
so it's been pretty easy, and like I said, no irritation or anything on my fingers.
All right. Alright, now that you did your whole hand, we're just kind of wait a little bit. It dries pretty quick, but sometimes you just want to wait it out. You don't want to touch anything yet, just in case it's still sticky or wet. You don't want to ruin it. Once it's completely dry, then if you have any cuticle oil or lotion or whatever, that's the time you would, because you would probably have really dry hands at the end of this after all the acetone and everything that we've done. So, alright, so now we're done. Do you have any questions about the process or anything?
Nope, actually, it was pretty easy. I'm happy with the way it looks.
Alright, my name is Sherlyn.
I'm Shannon.
And that's it for this tutorial. I'll see you next time.